Hello, today we're going to be discussing one of the goals of the Sustainable Development Agenda, gender equality and women's empowerment.
I'm Abby Younger, and I'm studying kinesiology at the University of Illinois.
I am Heather Schwartz, and I study advertising also at the University of Illinois. We are currently studying abroad in Rome, Italy for 4 months at Gusto Lab International Food Systems and Sustainability, and we're filming this video for our food and media course, which focuses on the promotion of food and food sustainability across many different media platforms. The main purpose of this video is going to address how the United Nations intends on creating a resilient future, specifically through striving for gender equality, which is one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
I think that achieving equality is very important for a stable society and growth for our world. The goal is to decrease all forms of poverty, environmental destruction, and economic differences. We need to pay attention to the gender-based differences across the world. No one should be left behind, and we all deserve equal rights. No society can develop if half of its population is disparaged.
At the U of I, I've taken several classes related to gender and media as part of my media studies, and it's very apparent that gender equality is a major issue around the world and one that I feel very passionate about. I realize it's important to understand issues from the perspective of other cultures around the world, as they'll definitely differ from my own. However, I strongly believe that women's equality to men should be enforced globally, no matter the cultural traditions. Women's rights are humans' rights, and our world is far too advanced to still be seeing this terrible inequality and violence of women around the world.
The Sustainable Development Agenda is a project developed in the year of 2015 to transform our world into a better place by the year 2030. They intend on building an inclusive, sustainable, and strong future for the entire world and the people in it. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, for the agenda that came into action on January 1st, 2016. With these goals, countries will have to work together and to end all poverty, break inequalities, and improve our climate. These goals work off the Millennium Development Goals and their success, but aim to increase those advancements of our world with a more broad perspective. The only way to reach these goals is for every country to take action, whether poor, rich, or middle income. The United Nations understands that to make this agenda work, they must focus on financial growth, social inclusion, and environmental conservation. The desired world is in reach. We have social media and technology that connects people from across the world in an instant. We can send money from one location to another in seconds. We can travel in hours and speak face-to-face to people in different areas across the world. Education and jobs are in high demand, which gives developing countries big opportunities. The goal is for everyone to benefit and for everyone to live a better life.
A big factor of the goal's success is understanding why these goals actually matter. 17 might seem like a large amount of goals to successfully reach their target of the ideal future, but these goals allow for a blueprint on what it will take to sustain prosperity across the world. Looking just at gender equality, we know that women are half the population in the world. So without the empowerment of women, we lose half the strength and growth potential on our planet, making it crucial to obtain equality, and gender inequality persists across the entire world still. In 2014, there were 143 countries that affirmed equality between men and women. However, only 52 of these have yet to legally put that into action. So the main intention of these goals is to end all forms of discrimination against women and girls everywhere. They also intend on eliminating all forms of violence against women and girls, including sex trafficking and other types of exploitation. The issue of abuse against women is prevalent all around the world. Globally, 35% of women between the ages 15 and 49 have experienced physical and sexual violence, and 19% of those women have experienced the violence from an intimate partner. Additionally, 49 countries lack any laws to protect women from domestic violence.
The agenda wants to eliminate all harmful practices such as early and forced marriage and female genital mutilation. 33% of women between 15 and 19 years old have experienced some kind of female genital mutilation or cutting in Africa and the Middle East. This can lead to excessive bleeding, infections including HIV, childbirth defects, infertility, and death. The European Union and United Nations decided to create the Spotlight Initiative. This initiative focuses on bringing attention to and eliminating the violence that is invisible to the public eye. They intend on improving the lives of women by working to end domestic and family violence, sexual and gender-based violence, and harmful practices, femicide, human trafficking, and sexual and economic exploitation. Globally, there are around 15 million girls under the age of 18 that marry every year, which is 37,000 child marriages a day. Marrying young affects girls' opportunity for education. Education inequalities are still very apparent in developing countries as well. One out of 3 developing countries have not reached gender equality in primary education. In areas such as sub-Saharan Africa, Oceania, and Western Asia, girls are still facing obstacles to enter both primary and secondary school. With a lack of education, women have less access to skills and opportunities in the workforce, and women in the workforce is essential for economic expansion. Men have the legal right to prevent their wives from working in 18 countries as well.
The SDGs aim to ensure women's full and effective participation in equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision-making in political, economic, and public life. While there have been improvements for women in politics across the world, still only 23.7% of national parliaments are female. Everyone deserves a say in the enhancement of our future.
It is crucial to ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health, as well as reproductive rights in accordance with the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development in the Beijing Platform for Action. To put things into perspective, only 52% of women that are married or in a union make their own decisions about sexual relations, contraceptives, and healthcare. Women must bear the children and care for them until they are capable to live on their own. They must sacrifice their time and lives while the men do otherwise. Women are more vulnerable to illnesses when bearing a child. Therefore, they need the rights to protect their health and their child's for a healthier future of our world.
Another goal is to make reforms to give women equal rights to economic resources, as well as to access to ownership and control over land and other forms of property, financial services, inheritance, and natural resources in accordance with national laws. Across the world, women are just 13% of agricultural landowners. Having knowledge of the gender division of labor can help understand the gender differentiated impacts of the environment and how a man or a woman can help solve these issues. In many countries, women are responsible for gaining these resources and food for their families. When they have limited access, they must travel farther for less return. The scarcity requires them to make challenging decisions on which family member does not get to eat or if she must pull the children out of school. Since women are the ones that need the resources the most, they should be able to make the decisions on sustainable development and climate change mitigation.
Another goal is acknowledging the unpaid care and domestic work through the provision of public services, infrastructure, social protection policies, and the promotion of shared responsibility within the household and the family as nationally acceptable. Women have socially constructed roles that give men an advantage of decision-making, access to resources, and varying social, political, and economic opportunities. Also, SDGs aim to enhance the use of enabling technology, particularly information and communications technology, to promote the empowerment of women. Finally, they will adopt and strengthen sound policies and enforceable legislation for the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls at all levels.
So how can students abroad help to spread awareness of this issue in order to make these goals a reality? Before going abroad, it's very important to do a lot of research on the places that you'll be visiting and also living. You should know the laws involved with gender equality as well as the gender norm differences with your own culture and the culture that you're visiting. This is important to understand the new culture as a whole and ensure that you're coming abroad educated and culturally sensitive. It is a good idea to have goals and plans of your own to implement during your time abroad. For example, how can you spread awareness to locals about issues they may not know about while still being respectful? If you understand what issues are occurring in your country of stay before you leave, you'll have a better understanding of what you want to do to make a change. Social media is a great platform for spreading ideas to a large amount of people. For example, using Instagram or Twitter to display images and ideas to people of your age group is very effective, as hundreds or maybe even thousands of people will be viewing the content. To successfully spread awareness, you must be educated on the topic and you must have a point of view. Clearly developing your ideas on important issues will help give you a voice that others will listen to and hopefully follow. Another important part of being abroad is taking notes on the cultural differences that you notice and reflecting on how those affect people's behavior. It is easy to get used to a new culture and forget that things are even different at all. This is important because once you return from studying abroad, it's important to share these differences and what you've learned in a new culture with others through storytelling. So from hearing your story, others may begin to understand issues that they never really get to see firsthand. So you're sort of the messenger that brings people a more global perspective.
With all these goals in mind, the agenda has to consider the investment that this will take in order to be successful. This means of the implementation will be essential to address. There will be a substantial amount needed, stretching to around trillions of dollars. However, these funds are already in place. We have more than enough savings in order to support the goals of the Sustainable Development Agenda. It will be how to direct the investment that could be more difficult. The ADIS Agenda gives the 2030 development a global framework for the finances. This framework serves as a guide for future actions by governments, organizations, businesses, civil society, and philanthropists worldwide.
To reach these goals, everyone must participate with an open mind, not just the government and businesses. Women and girls must encourage each other to stay in school and promote equality in schools. Women must fight for the right to access sexual and reproductive health services. In order for these goals to be achieved, men also must work alongside women and girls to attain gender equality and embrace healthy, respectful relationships. This is the time that we can raise a new generation of girls and boys who respect one another and work together to protect the rights of every human. To help, people can donate to organizations and campaigns that fight for women's equality. We must educate ourselves through research and get involved in the conversation to become more fluent with this issue and be able to make a change, because we all have a voice and they need to be heard. The gender discrimination is still holding women back, and it holds our world back too. Thank you for listening.
Bye.